Plant between the rows, let the good things grow.
Welcome to Planting Between Rows, the podcast where we dig into the world of agriculture. In this episode, we will talk about who produces your milk, the story of the Pennsylvania small-scale dairy farmer. I'm Tommy, a senior.
I'm Kyle, a junior.
I'm Trey, a junior.
I'm Kayla, a junior.
I'm Lydia, a junior.
We're all a part of the College of Agricultural Sciences here at Penn State. We want to thank you for listening today. You probably don't think much about where your milk comes from. Maybe you grab a gallon at the grocery store, pour it into your cereal, and move on with your day. But behind every jug, every cheese stick, and every ice cream cone, there's a farmer. And here in Pennsylvania, that farmer is more likely to be a small family running a modest herd, not a massive industrial operation.
That's right, Trey. While the national trend has been toward larger industrial dairies, Pennsylvania stands out. We're talking about farms with around 96 cows on average compared to the national average of over 350 cows. These are family farms, sometimes Amish or Mennonite, where tradition, labor, and community keep things running.
And despite shrinking numbers of dairies across the country, Pennsylvania still ranks second in the U.S. for the number of dairy farms, only behind Wisconsin. That's something worth paying attention to.
So today, we're digging into what makes the Pennsylvania dairy story so unique, and what's at stake for the farmers who produce our milk. We'll explore why these small-scale dairies matter, what challenges they're facing, and how new ideas and policies might be helping them survive.
It's not easy to be a small dairy farmer right now. Costs are rising, especially feed and labor, while milk prices can swing dramatically. Economists call it the cost per hundredweight disadvantage, meaning smaller herds just can't produce as much milk as cheaply as the big guys.
Exactly. A farmer with 70 cows is spending a lot more to produce 100 pounds of milk than a farm with 1,000 cows. So, when milk prices drop, and they do, often those smaller farms feel it first.
But it's not all bad news. Some farmers are adapting by going organic, grass-fed, or even turning their milk into artisan cheeses and raw milk products for local customers. Others are opening their barns to visitors, using agritourism to supplement their income and connect with their communities.
And that's really the heart of this story. It's about adaptation, resilience, and family tradition.
Here's the big picture. Dairy farming is part of Pennsylvania's identity. It fuels local economies, feeds families, and preserves rural landscapes.
But it's also at a crossroads. The number of small farms keeps dropping, even as the total number of cows stays roughly the same. That means fewer people do more work, often for smaller returns.
Today, we will talk about viewpoints from industry professionals who have seen this reality, like Dr. James Lawhead from Penn State Extension, who's worked with dairy farmers for nearly 4 decades as a previous veterinarian, and Travis Edwards, co-manager of Penn State's Dairy Barns, who's seeing it firsthand how technology and education are changing the future of dairy.
We'll also touch on what lawmakers are doing at both the state and federal level to support the industry.
Thanks, Trey, Kyle, and Tommy. Now that we've got a sense of the big picture, let's dig into what's happening on these farms and what experts are saying firsthand. Take it away, Lydia.
That's right. We spoke with 2 people who know Pennsylvania's dairy industry inside and out. Dr. James Lawhead, a former veterinarian with 38 years of experience, who now currently works for Penn State Extension, and Travis Edwards, who manages the Penn State Dairy Barns. Dr. Lawhead has worked with dairy farmers for almost 4 decades.
He told us that many small farms just can't compete with the pay and stability of other jobs. So when older farmers can't find help, they often end up doing more work themselves or eventually leave the business altogether. And that's just not about convenience, it's about survival. When a family farm loses its workforce, it's nearly impossible to keep up with milking, feeding, and field work.
Dr. Lawhead also talked about how feed and forage quality, something that doesn't always get enough attention. He said good forage is the foundation of a healthy herd and a profitable operation. Poor quality feed means less milk and more cost down the line.
He really empathizes testing feed regularly and keeping open communication between farmer and nutritionalists. Small farms can't afford to waste a single pound of feed, and every decision counts.
When we asked about the future, he admitted he's worried about how quickly small dairies are disappearing. But he also said there's a bright spot in the Mennonite and Amish model of family farming.
Those communities and those who use the family model keep dairying farms alive by sharing labor and resources across generations. Parents, kids, and even grandparents all work together. And that shared responsibility, that sense of family first, might be what keeps small dairies going in the next decade.
Our next interviewee was Travis Edwards, co-manager of Penn State Dairy Barns, and he sees how technology is reshaping the industry every day.
Even though Penn State hasn't fully become robotic yet because of research they participate in, Travis said they've made big improvements through automation, like their new automatic calf feeder. It saves time, reduces labor stress, and ensures every calf gets fed consistently even when schedules are packed.
He believes that technology like that could be a game changer for small family farms. Automation might sound like big business, but it can give small farms more flexibility and family time instead of being tied to the barn 24/7.
And it's not just about tech inside the barn. Travis also shared that Penn State Dairy facilities host about 100 public tours a year from school kids to 4-H clubs, teachers, and a bunch of other groups.
That's right. Those tours reconnect with people where their milk really comes from. It's community education, and it helps remind consumers that milk just doesn't appear on grocery shelves. It comes from hardworking individuals.
Travis told us that combining technology, education, and community engagement is key. He said the future of small dairies depends on finding the balance using modern tools to make life easier while keeping the family values that built the industry. We wanted to just take a second and thank Travis Edwards and Dr. James Lawhead for their time and help with making this podcast come together with their knowledge and experience over the years.
Of course, technology and hard work alone can't solve everything. Policy and legislation also play a huge role in keeping Pennsylvanians' dairy farms alive.
Pennsylvania supports dairy producers in part by helping them access federal risk management tools. For example, Senate Bill 1229 provides state funding to assist farmers in paying premiums for the USDA's Dairy Margin Coverage, the D program. The DMC program is voluntarily federally state net program that issues payment with the margin between milk prices and feed costs fall between the selected level.
House Bill 177 proposes creating Keystone Opportunity Dairy Zones in Pennsylvania. The idea: pick special zones where dairy processors get big tax incentives. Think credits, deductions, if they allocate to these zones and use local milk. The goal is to boost the state dairies industry, keep more dairy jobs and processing in-state, and help farmers by strengthening local demand. Very similar in purpose to House Bill 177, Senate Bill 384 also offers to create the same type of dairy zones with tax breaks and local state partnerships to drive investment in dairy processing. It's another legislative track to achieve the same goal: stronger dairy industry infrastructure in Pennsylvania.
And we can't forget the Whole Milk in Pennsylvania School Act, Senate Bill 463, which allows schools to serve local whole milk again. That's huge for both nutrition and for keeping Pennsylvania milk in Pennsylvania schools.
At the federal level, there are bills like the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act and the Dairy Business Innovation Act, which increase funding for dairy entrepreneurship and support local production.
Right, and programs like the Dairy Farmer Resilience Act and the Dairy Nutrition Incentive programs help stabilize prices and encourage people to buy more dairy through SNAP and school lunch programs.
All these policies, state, federal, show that lawmakers are recognizing just how important dairy is to our economy and culture. They're trying to give farmers a fighting chance against rising costs and industrial competition.
It's going to take all of it: innovation, education, community, and policy working together to keep small dairy farms thriving in Pennsylvania.
After hearing everything from Kayla and Lydia and from people like Dr. Lawhead and Travis Edwards, it really makes you think about how much heart goes into every gallon of milk that comes from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, It's easy to forget that behind those cartons on the shelf are families milking 60, 80, maybe 100 cows, working before sunrise, holding on through tough markets and changing times.
And they're doing it with incredible resilience, whether it's adopting new technology, improving feed quality, or just keeping the family together to share the workload. These farmers are adapting every single day.
What really stood out to me is how much community plays a role, especially in places like Lancaster County. It's not just one farm surviving, it's families helping families, neighbors sharing labor, and generations learning from each other.
That cooperation is powerful. It's what keeps these small dairies alive, even as the economy gets tougher and the industry keeps consolidating.
And let's not forget the bigger picture of dairy farming isn't just about milk. It's about preserving Pennsylvania's landscape, supporting local economies, and keeping a way of life that's been part of this state for centuries.
Exactly. These farmers aren't just producing food, they're preserving tradition. And with the right mix of innovation, policy support, and community, there's still hope for small-scale dairy farmers in Pennsylvania's future.
So next time you pour a glass of milk or enjoy a scoop of ice cream, remember, that milk has a story.
A story of hard work, family, and the Pennsylvania spirit.
Thanks for listening to Planting Between Rows for the episode where we talked about who produces your milk, the story of the Pennsylvania small-scale dairy farmer. Please tune in for our next episode on YouTube. If you have any questions, reach out to Penn State College of Agricultural Sciences. This production was made through the help and use of AI tools and technology.
Plant between the rows, let the good things grow.